this first season had a spotlight on a different character each episode. Will we be getting any flashbacks to Leslie's past?
For season 2, Leslie is definitely going to show up in ways that maybe she didn't in season 1. We'll give a little bit of the backstory. She doesn't necessarily have her own episode, but we do get some glimpses into her childhood and some things that, we didn't know about her for season 1.
What's the most difficult aspect of Leslie's journey for you this season?
The most difficult aspect of Leslie, what was the word?
The most difficult aspect of Leslie's journey for you this season.
Her journey is definitely a continuation from season 1, right? She's dealing with 2 young girls who are going down the wrong path, especially Rue, played by Zendaya. She's not seeming to get the concept that, she's out of control. And now she has a younger sister who's looking to her for leadership. And it's kind of not the leadership you would want as a parent.
Because as her TV mother, do you think Jules is good for Rue?
Well, that's kind of the question, right? Is Jules good for Rue? I think they both have their own demons they're dealing with. And unfortunately, as a teenager, you really don't have the wherewithal to kind of figure out those things that are going to eventually harm you or make you better. And so I think they're both trying to find their way in this world of chaos. So I don't know if they're necessarily good for each other, but I think they can look at one another for self-reflection, which we see a lot of for season 2.
Last season, we saw Rue, go head to head with Leslie and how her addiction was affecting her. How will her addiction continue to affect the relationship?
Rue's addiction is definitely one of those ebb and flow things. 1 minute she's happy, next minute she's depressed. And we go deeper into her addiction for season 2, with her kind of like, I don't want to give away alerts, but it's definitely Rue still trying to figure out what makes her tick, figuring out her purpose in life. And we see all of that through each episode.
What's it like working with Zendaya and then Storm Reed?
I love working with Z and Stormy. Definitely my top 3 things I've accomplished in my life. Both of them, they come to set ready to work, ready, because they know, with these fight scenes, it's intense. And I think we all have an understanding that we need to serve the characters and let go of what we may or may not do. And so I think each one of them are professionals when it comes to that, really becoming the characters, staying in the characters and staying in the scene so that we're able to bring these people's lives into fruition. So it's exciting. It's exciting. Working with an Emmy winner, Miss Z, I had to level it up, girl.
Love it up. What are some of the episodes this season that fans should keep an eye out for, or even some memorable moments that you had filming this season?
There were a lot of memorable moments. Definitely when I got a chance to work with some of the other cast members, because for season 1, most of my scenes were with Z or Stormy. This season, I get to work with the very talented Mr. Coleman Domingo. So it's all been, for me, a blessing.
The storylines on Euphoria are heavy. How do you shake off a day's work?
How do I shake off a day's work? Well, I come home and first thing I do is kind of like decompress, take a sit down bath, do some aromatherapy. This is just my day-to-day things that I do, just living in LA, okay? Just decompressing from life, period. Yeah. But I think overall, the show, for me, I give so much when I'm in the scenes that when I come home, I don't feel like I'm I'm holding on to anything. You know, I can take off the costume and be myself and just kind of get my mind back to one. But you know, the thing is, I kind of stayed in it for the whole 8 months. You know, I didn't want to get too far removed from the character Leslie. And so I was making sure that every day I was thinking about something or, you know, implementing some type of technique so that when it's time to go, I'm not so far off that it's hard for me to get back into it.
Because speaking of that, what's something you learned about yourself while playing this character?
I learned a lot about myself in regards to my ego, actually. Working, you know, with heavy hitters such as Z, Stormy, Coleman, you know, you want to do your best. You want to bring forth the performance that's going to, you know, get you an Oscar and an Emmy and, you know, recognition. And, you know, I had to really let go of all of those things and just say, hey, stay in the moment, stay present, you know, do what you've prepared, and that's it. Don't worry about anything after that. And so constantly kind of learning how to let go of things and not to be attached to anything in particular.
Wow. Why do you think this show resonates with so many people?
I think Euphoria is one of those shows that people are surprised because it is so real and it is so grimy and gritty and just there's no holding back. And I think people appreciate that, especially in a world where we're so consumed with social media. It's hard to kind of, I think, lose yourself in being online all the time. And so to actually see that kind of being presented in the show through the eyes of an addict and her tribe and her family and her friends, it's just relatable. And I think people gravitate towards the show because it's so much like real life, unfortunately, fortunately.
So Euphoria has a popular social media presence. What is it like to get on there and just see instant feedback from the fans after an episode?
It's been really exciting because, like, I know what's coming because I've watched all 7 episodes already, and I'm just like waiting for people to respond and have a reaction. Like when Nate got the brakes beat off of him, people were like, yo, everything was centered around he deserved it. It was about time. So I love that, you know, the fans are on this ride with us, and we get a chance to see in real time, you know, through Twitter and Instagram and, you know, all the platforms where people are like, they're loving it, you know, and we are too.
Yeah, especially the end scene when Zendaya had did that little bit. Everybody was like, that's the best part of that whole situation.
It's the moments in there that people, it gets intense, but at the same time, the writer-director, Sam Levinson, he does a great job at adding, you know, those little funny moments in there.
Especially in the car scene when they were driving him
and
her and Fez. And she was in that whole...
Tupac. Yes, one of my favorite rap artists, hands down.
Oh, this series has such an amazing supportive fan base. What would you like to say to them?
What would I say to the fans of Euphoria? I would say, even though this show seems to be very dark and almost like there's a sense of hopelessness, I want the fans to understand that this is the journey of a character, and I want them to learn from it, to not make the same mistakes, to not go down the same path, to create an identity for yourself that resonates with your highest vibration and positivity and self-love. And don't worry about the things that are bad in the show. I want people to focus on what's good and what's pure.